Well, I will make a couple of comments here is that we're going to go through my slides relatively quickly. We're probably going to spend a half hour, 25 minutes, because what I want to do is really open it up for questions. And those questions you can post in the chat. Or as we're all familiar with Zoom now, you can unmute and voice them. But I think in general, when I looked at the overall content of this webinar, it's relatively simple. But I think we all have to start thinking about it again. It was complex when I started thinking about what to write, but once I was finished, I said to myself, well, this is easy. We need to get together, we need to ask good questions, and we need to follow up. So let's talk about that. Take two. So bottom line is we can't afford to wait for 90 days to develop these relationships that are so important. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts of virtual meetings. So this is a guy, he thought his camera was off, but it wasn't. And he has a very nice polka dot jockey shorts there. You don't want to be that guy. And then this is what we experience every day. This is Saturday Night Live over here on the right. You know, the screenshots of people's teeth and, you know, the backs of their heads and all out of focus on video. You know, you don't want to be that person. So let's definitely not be that person. So the first step is to set up your technology. The stakes are much higher on Zoom. We're not on a phone call, we're on a video call. And we still make quick judgments on people based on what we see. Check to see what's behind you. You know, what's there. You'd be amazed at what we see when we're on these Zoom calls. Use the video. Don't be too far away and don't be too close, as we just saw. Use the video and make sure you're prominent. And place your computer at an eye level or slightly higher. I like mine at an eye level. You may even have to boost it up with books or something for those of you that still have books. So moving on with setting up your technology, always face the light. Don't sit with your back to a window because you'll be silhouetted. Try to sit where there's a simple wall behind you. Get a headset. Many a times you have distractions in the house. You can't necessarily have a private area. At least you can hear people and you can communicate effectively. Place a do not disturb sign on the door if you have a private area. You'd be amazed at how often people come in to cook or to you know, pick something up and don't realize that they're on camera. Put your phone away and turn off your email. Remember, you're visible while the other people are talking. So you've scheduled a one-on-one with somebody, give them your attention. And this applies too when we're in person. You wouldn't do that if you were in person. So make sure and give the person you're with your full attention. All right, look a little bit better. There's a setting in Zoom where you can go in and you can actually touch up your appearances. I know somebody said I look a lot better now. That's because I used the touch up this morning. But no, definitely go into there and use the touch up. It's just a click of the mouse, and that gives you a little more, it'll make you look a little bit better. So create a pipeline of meetings. So this is one of the most important things. You need to get your list together. Who are you going to reach out to? And make a commitment to make phone calls and send emails to schedule these one-on-ones. I just got to notice my internet is unstable. Let me know if it's breaking up too much. It seems like it's fine on my end. So start with your clients. Set out a list of the clients you want to set up one-on-one meetings with. Sources, your referral sources, your circle of influence. And then move to scheduling with your top prospects. And one thing that's really important is respond to somebody who's asked you for a one-on-one. There's nothing more rude than not getting a response at all. So make sure and reach out to those folks that reach out to you. check the chat here real quick. All right. How do you buy a virtual drink? You guys will tell me how to do that later. Schedule a time every day to contact people. You know, set out an hour, 2 hours, a half hour, whatever it is, to make those 10 or 20 outreaches. If it's not on your schedule, you're probably not going to do it. And your goal is after this pandemic is to come out with 10, 15 people that are your circle of influence. And in my circle of influence, I like to have 2 people in each one of the categories. Look at that, Ralph, you're still on the list. How about that?
Still making the cut.
Yeah, it's good. You've been on there for a while. So once you've created your circle of influence, you know, you have it, and you want to continue to refine it. But once you need a relationship, it's probably too late. I mean, think about all the people that called their lenders for the PPP loans, right? If you didn't have that relationship up front, you might have missed the opportunity. It's very important. So think about building your circle of influence as a business marriage. You do a lot of courting before the ceremony. So you need time with people. The people in your circle rely on you as an extension of their sales team. Don't let them down. Relationships grow when you're consistent. Don't reach out to somebody 1 month and not reach out to them for 6 months. Take action. You're a member of the Highrise community, leverage it. There's 700 of us. Fellow members and clients need you as their resource. And think about this, top professionals have about 200 clients. If you're in a group of 20 people, that's 4,000 people you could be introduced to, or you could be introducing. It's a fantastic opportunity. And I think that's why Highrise has been so successful lately. We've grown our membership since the pandemic over 50 people now. And that's because we realize in tough times that people really need people. So when you schedule your one-on-ones, be clear about the expectation of the meeting. Are you looking to help them get a referral? Are you looking to meet one of their clients? What are you asking for? And support the people around you by giving referrals. This is not a taking situation. There's a time and a place. But if you give, it creates a void that'll be replaced by business. So schedule your one-on-ones, get it done. So research the person you're meeting with. Again, like I said, it feels pretty simple, what we're talking about today, but I think it's important that remember, think about how you can help them. Can you introduce them to other people in your network? Clients, resources. Look through the people that they know and make a list of the people you'd like to meet. Think about the emotional consequences or connections you might have with them. Sports, college, music. That's what people remember, is that there's a connection. And we have to work even harder when we're on Zoom. We don't have the luxury of a face-to-face. So definitely look for those connections. And assume everyone you meet has valuable information to share with you. So networking is not selling. It's like oil and water. Networking bonds a relationship, selling inhibits a relationship. Selling creates walls and separates people. And now I understand that your product is probably great and your services are amazing, but I watch every day on Zoom calls in our Highrise meetings. The more people push and sell, the more I watch other people check out. So take a look at that if you see that in your meetings, your Highrise meetings. So it's important to offer value, interesting commentary, but not selling, because what they're going to buy is they're buying you and your product. Once they like you, your product will sell itself. So it's impossible to help others reach their dreams and their goals unless you know what their dreams and goals are. So that's a big point I want to make here, which is ask a lot of questions. Come from a basis of curiosity. Strive to know them on that personal level. This is important. Don't preconceived notion, oh, he's a commercial litigator, or it's an accountant, whatever those preconceived notions are. Come at it fresh. Those things will block you from discovering something that's a real connection between you two. Ask questions and be quiet. I also see this in our Highrise meetings. We have chairs who will ask a question, and if somebody doesn't speak within 1 second, they move on to something else. So the important thing is to ask a question and be quiet. Let them think about it. Let them answer the question. Silence is really okay. We have a chat here. Ha, thank you, Steve. Somebody caught my spelling error. I can't get away with anything. Can't get away with anything. Silence is spelled okay, and it is okay. It's impossible to help others. We've already talked about that. See, I have a duplicate slide. So let's talk about a few questions that you can ask. How can I help you? What are you doing right now to sharpen your business skills? What do you do outside work for fun? You go from your living room to your bedroom and then to the kitchen. Tell me a fun fact about yourself, right? These are things we have to think about. We can't just go there and I speak for 20 minutes about how great my business is. You speak for 20 minutes on how great your business is. That's not developing a relationship. That's a bio. You might as well send them a bio. So ask good questions. What industry blog are you following? What are you reading? What did you read that was interesting lately? Things like, what do you like about your company? I've asked before, what college course would you love to go back and take again? Things like that. It's explaining to you what these people are all about, not just their business. Write down their answers. Harvey McCabe is famous for his McCabe, I think it's 101, where you find out things about people. Write it down in your contact management software. Create an action plan. So you've had this great conversation for a half hour, you've connected with them, you've asked great questions, you've identified some opportunities. Now you need to take action. So reach out and connect with the people, the opportunities that were identified. Make a commitment to get together again. Do that immediately. Don't get off the call without putting it down on a schedule. Immediately do what you said you were going to do with the people that are on the call. I find this over and over again that we kind of commit to too much and we don't get much done. But I find if you get off of that call, you give yourself 20 or 30 minutes, take action immediately. Number one, you look great to the person you're networking with. Number two, it's done. It's off your list, which is fantastic. So take extra time as well to think about how you can help them. So you've done your call, you wake up the next morning, you say, okay, John was great. I really like him. I really connected with him. How can I help John? And if you were able to send an email after or make a call and say, hey, John, I was thinking about what we spoke about. Here's something else I think we should think about. Let's do a seminar together. Let's plan an event or do something like that. Let's get our clients together on another Zoom call. Those are the actions that people really care about because you thought about it. And then give a gift. We had, in the past, I've done one-on-ones with one of our members, and he has a little book, a little quote book that he sends out with a thank you note. Fantastic. How great is that? Corona free, of course. So use a CRM. We can't do this anymore through Excel spreadsheets. I know that a lot of you still do, but there's a lot of features that a basic CRM can help you with. And they're not that expensive anymore. I use Salesforce. It's very effective in managing my day-to-day. So schedule follow-ups every 60 days. Identify, we call it filtering, who is in that network resource. So somebody you've met with, you like, you put them into your circle or your extended circle. Well, make sure you can go and look at that. Because what I love to do is pull up 50, 100 people in every week and say, okay, who do I need to reach out to next week? And I might reach out to them earlier. Create a searchable feature. We just talked about that. Note what you have done for them. If you've given them a referral, if you've introduced them to somebody, put it in your notes. Also note what they've done with you. There's nothing worse than at the end of the year saying, I know somebody gave me a referral from Warner Center. Who was that? And you're not able to thank them when it's holiday time. So look at your list every few days. We've already talked about that. Go over here to the chat. Disappeared, okay. Guess if you don't catch it quick. We're almost done. We're going to get to some questions. Our relationships are the glue that holds everything together. It's been a difficult time, but we have a chance to build real relationships. And this is something we may not have ever been able to do in a normal case. Together, we're creating the foundation for success. During this pause, continue to connect with others. Don't be passive, be assertive. And I know a lot of us are busy. There's probably 30% of the people that are working 12 hours a day. I understand. You still have to carve out some time for marketing. Once these doors open again, you'll be in the perfect position to grow your business and support all those people around you. So thank you. I'm going to go ahead and stop this share so I can see everybody again. Pam, you were exactly right. About 25 minutes. Very good. Good job. All right. So let me go over to the chat. We can also raise hands. Looks like we only have 52 people here. It's a small group, but I'm going to go ahead and go through here. Thanks, Pam. Okay, any questions or comments? Should I unmute all?
If you're just meeting somebody for the first time on Zoom, what's a good way to open it up?
Hi? No. Well, I mean, I think the first thing is ask a question, a casual question. How's this been affecting you? What's going on with your family? Depends on the level of the relationship that you have with them, but definitely I wouldn't kick off with, hey, have you heard about? Did you get your PPP loan yet? That might be a source of aggravation. Thanks. Other questions? Remember to unmute.
Forrest, I just was given a referral to two different companies.
Okay.
I've never met them before, never talked to them before. I can use the referral source as a reference. How do I open it up so that I can get into a Zoom conversation with them?
Well, I would send them an invitation. Rudy, do you use a calendar application at all?
Yeah, I use CRM.
Okay. It's possible that calendar will hook up to your Zoom. So look for the integration. But what you can do is certainly send them an email and say, click on my calendar. Once they schedule, then send them a Zoom link. And you may, I think people are so much more comfortable with Zoom now. I think that you can also have them, you don't have to necessarily justify why Zoom, but maybe you will. Maybe you say, look, I'd love to see you. And normally I would come and meet with you in person. If you'd like, I'd love to schedule a Zoom call. So
Okay.
I don't think they would object. Has anybody seen an objection to doing a Zoom call? Okay.
I have.
Well, that's because you're so smart, John. People are.
No, I heard a lot of comments. I said articles, not really talking to people, but about security concerns around Zoom.
Yeah.
And so, that's one thing that takes me a little bit of I take a little caution about using Zoom right now because of that, But I use Microsoft Teams. And I find that very, very
Great.
successful.
Yeah, John, that's great. Somebody made an interesting comment this morning. I don't know if it's right, but they said if the courts are using Zoom, it must be safe. And David will probably comment on that. David Gauntlet, right? If the court says it's okay, it must be right. Good, right, David?
Forrest, this is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Forrest. I have a son in the military, and I guess the military has blocked Zoom for their official business, but unless you're using something called Zoom for Government, and I don't know if the courts are using that or not.
Oh, maybe. Go ahead,
Hey,
David.
Forrest.
Hi, David.
I have a case in Delaware in commercial court, and they're only using Skype. They do not want to use Zoom. And the Second Circuit is only doing phone calls. They're not allowing Zoom. So it's not as great a modality, but that's what they're available. So that's my, sampling.
Okay, thank you, David. Ralph, did you have something?
Yeah, most managed service carriers today, like ours, we provide a video one-on-one and multiple video instances that you can host video conference calls. And not just my company, but other companies out there that provide unified communication services where you can host video conference calls. They already have a built-in security feature, and not all of them, but a lot of them do. I know for a fact that ours already has a built-in security feature to host calls like this.
Great. Thanks,
Check
Ralph.
with your UCAS company.
Or call Telepacific.
Or call TPX, yes.
TPX.
Same company.
Yeah, thanks, Ralph.
Or just call me.
I wanted to add to give you some understanding of why some people use Zoom and why people use Teams. Truthfully, it's required a mixed environment. There are certain things that Teams does very well. For example, the multiple screens, meaning that you can see everyone at the same time. Teams does not. It only allows you to show 4 at a time. The other thing is people seem to be able to get on quickly with all the different aspects of with Zoom, which it can. But when it comes to doing applications, which is real work, they use Zoom. And the reason why is because your platform, your internal platform is usually Microsoft, and most people use Microsoft 365. And so it integrates right with that. So you're able to share Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and all of those things. And Microsoft and Teams have realized this, and they actually have joined together to make it easy for you to integrate with both of their systems. So you can actually take a Teams call into a Microsoft, you can take a Zoom call into a Microsoft Teams and vice versa.
Huh.
So it's not really, it's just that it's a mixed bag. So it depends on what you have. If you already have Microsoft Professional 365, you actually already have Teams platform and a license for free for 1 year. So
Right.
depending on what it is you want to do, you'll decide how to use Zoom or Teams.
Perfect. Thanks, Ivan. Andrea.
Hey, Forrest. We had a group member who is comfortable using Zoom for the audio, but not the video because of some research he did. And is it because it requires you to download something on your computer that's not safe for video, or does anyone know why he would use the audio and not the video?
Yeah, I think I know why. He hasn't had a haircut in a month. No, no, there is a download. Sometimes we found that the security in some of the companies aren't allowing them to even download Zoom anymore. So the firewall is blocking the video. So I think that's probably what's happening there, Andrea.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hey, Forrest, most people probably know this, but you know, most of these larger meetings you're on mute the entire time, and if you just hold down your space bar, you can talk instead of fiddling with trying to go up, click on mute.
Great. Gary, is that your current haircut or is that your old haircut?
No, I actually shaved my head on day one, and so now it's growing back to where it looks nice.
Perfect. That's smart. That's one solution. See, we learn these things on one-on-ones. Let me see if there's any other hands up, or hit that space bar now that we know how to do that, and unmute. Ask any questions you like. I'm going to wait.
Forrest, do you see any downside in having, I guess it would be a Zoom meeting or a one-on-one where you don't have the video available?
Yeah, I think it's a big problem. And if you notice that when we first started doing Zoom calls, maybe, I would say 20% had video. Now we're seeing more of a 50% sort of ratio. I mean, if we're not going to meet in person, we need to see some cues. The other thing I've seen is if you look at some of the backgrounds, you're actually getting to know the people a little bit better by seeing, Jake is clearly into books, so you're starting to get to know them a little better, a little more personal. So I think the video is imperative. I wouldn't even do a one-on-one call if you don't have a video. And I would request maybe when you send out those invitations that I'd love to have you on camera so that we can have that interaction. I think it's really important. Thanks.
I have a
Go ahead,
suggestion. If you don't have a video camera and you don't want to get one, you can use FaceTime. Most people have that ability. So just a thought.
Yeah, I don't know why people don't use FaceTime. It's surprising. One of our members yesterday in our Dallas happy hour said that he only uses FaceTime for family. So, but that technology is there.
So what's FaceTime? Is that Facebook?
It's an Apple product.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's on every iPhone, iPad, iPhone.
Okay.
A lot of these platforms have a mobile app you can download onto your mobile device. So if you don't have an iPhone and you have an Android, for example, you can download the Zoom app or, whatever other app. Like we have an app and it's downloadable to any device. They'll have those video calls.
Perfect. Thanks. And is there any success stories around one-on-ones? Can anybody share that you've had virtually?
Well, I wouldn't say I've had a success story, but I have experienced that I wouldn't have otherwise interacted with that person had they not sent me a Zoom link. And that's always helpful, that you might not have wanted to pick up the phone to each other, but somebody sent me a Zoom link, and it was actually rather nice to see how each of us reacts to the other's discussion of whatever it was that was on our mind.
Awesome. Speaking of looking at yourself, you can go, if you don't want to see yourself in the camera view, you can go over and right mouse click and you can hide self view. It just, sometimes when you're, it's kind of hard when every time you talk, you see yourself. So that's just something to think about if you'd like. And it's not hiding your video, but it's hiding your self view. I learned that yesterday as well. Because sometimes seeing yourself can be a distraction. I've gotten used to it now. I like it because then I know if I'm in camera or not in camera, or what's really going on behind me. So I know we've had some success stories that people have actually gotten on one-on-ones and there's been business transacted. I don't see those folks here. All right, any other questions or any other comments? And silence is okay.
There's a feature in Zoom where you can upload your own background. So maybe if I don't want people to see my Smokey the Bear poster or something in the back,
Yeah.
I don't see that. I have the Zoom app on my desktop and I don't see that option. So I'm wondering if you've turned it off in the speaker session. I think it may be something that you control.
No, you can see it. Ivan just turned his on.
Sure did.
You have to log
if
in.
you go to the stop video, to the right of that, there's an arrow and then choose virtual background. And then you can upload an image that you can use as your background.
And you can find that image online. Just Google Zoom background. Find
I
it.
don't see the arrow.
Yeah, I don't have an arrow.
I don't see the arrow, so I don't know.
You see the stop video, the video camera in the lower left corner?
Ah, the arrow there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
There it is. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't even know that.
I'll try this.
Now, you need to have a flat background because otherwise, I mean, you look pretty good, Jonathan. So, but you got to be careful because you'll come out as a ghost. We've seen a lot of ghosts at Highrise. Like mine.
Right. It does that stitching. It's a little bit weird.
Yeah. It's great if you haven't had a haircut in a while. Other questions? You can use the hand raise too.
I wonder for Zoom, I've been doing some Zoom sessions with writers. There's actually a writers conference this weekend that I'm volunteering to help out with. But I'm thinking for Highrise, I mean, unlike meeting over a cup of coffee or a meal, you don't have that sort of common bond. It feels a little awkward to me just to say, hey, let's do a Zoom one-on-one. What are things that are people doing to make it sort of to find a focus of energy that makes it a more successful meeting?
Well, you need to have a strong
Already
moderator
pointed out.
that's not afraid to hit the mute button. So that's important. You've got to set out the ground rules of the meeting. Number two is the content. Have an organized. It's just like anything. But the most important thing is just do it. I think a lot of us had never done this before. A lot of our members had never been on Zoom before. So just get in there and do it. But having an agenda is very important. Although we started doing virtual happy hours with Highrise, and there's no agenda. It's been great, and we've gotten to know people. Some people are sitting on their porch, other people in their office, other people around the family. It's been great with no agenda. So it's been very, very good. So I would say just get on and do it. Do it more often than not. Any other points of advice for a Zoom one-on-one that anybody has done effectively?
Forrest, just to, oh,
Better
I'm
than
sorry.
a phone call? Sorry to be the skeptic, but
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Is it really that much better than a phone call? I mean, it's potentially more awkward, or right?
Well, it absolutely is. The answer is absolutely. Melinda, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say to that, we've had to obviously switch over to doing a lot of interviews online or over Zoom. And we've noticed a big difference when people are actually just talking on the phone versus when they can actually see people and the interaction where you can see someone's reaction to a question and things don't get as misunderstood as they might over the phone. So I think having that visual, we can actually see somebody and see the reaction to a question is important right now.
Yeah. Well, you think about the application of that being able to share your screen. And basically, you could potentially go to their LinkedIn page and thumb through, or go to your own LinkedIn page and say, who would you like to meet here? And they could say, oh, I'd love to meet John and Rupert and Gary. Can you introduce me to them? So that you don't have that when you're sitting in front of somebody, unless you're going to print something out and bring it. It's more awkward. So we really have a great chance to show deliverables, to collaborate, and as if we're, on our desktop. Thanks.
Yeah, I think there's a chance to be more engaged with a Zoom call because people, they're going to see if you're multitasking or trying to do something else while you're listening to them. You can't put them on speaker and then go do something else. So you have a chance for more focused communication, I think.
That's a good point. As long as you're not continually looking down at your phone. I think we all think that if we sit back far enough, we can look down and do other things while we're talking to somebody. I don't think it really works. It might work a little bit, but probably not on a one-on-one. So make sure and get that focus time.
Like me?
Say it again, John.
Like me? I'm trying to multitask, yeah.
I think it's different if you're in a group setting than if you're on a one-on-one or a smaller group. I think it's important that you put the phone down and focus, which is very hard. We're going to all be a lot less ADD now. Any other questions or comments?
Forrest, I just have a comment. So I've actually been using Zoom quite a bit for one-on-ones. I've met with actually some of my group members, Highrise Newport group members on one-on-one just to try to get acquainted and everything. And I find it works quite well. A little bit better than just on the phone, because you do, as I think Melinda mentioned, you get that little bit of body language. You can kind of gauge their reactions when you're asking and talking about things. You can see if they're falling asleep, for example. So I found it very helpful. I haven't transacted business, but I think it's a good way to, a good substitute for being there in person.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So
Can I add something real quick?
Sure.
Just to let you guys all know, your backgrounds are mathematically inclined. They're subject to the distance between you and the back wall. So if you have a far enough back wall, as you can see, I'm up close, and you can see how far I can go back before I start interfering with my background. The closer your wall is to you, the closer and tighter your background is going to be around you. So if your wall is further, so is your background.
Ah, good to know. Look at Rupert. He's gone San Francisco ghost. You're on mute.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, but that's a good example.
Yeah, I screwed up, unfortunately. But what do you think? Yeah, I'll have to work on that. So what do you think is going to happen once we get back into the office? Do you think people are going to continue to use Zoom?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to be all so comfortable with it that it's going to become the new norm. And it'd be interesting to see, what's going to happen. I mean, we all talked about what's going to happen when we get back to work. Are we going to still be in an office? I think even more so, because now you're going to be able to see if this person is going in, are they collaborating, are they in a nice office space? It's the same thing that we're doing here. It's going to be another mode of evaluation of who we're talking to. Just think if you had a presentation or a client call or a prospective client call that they weren't willing to meet, or they're in another city. Wow, let's do Zoom. And this is going to be it's going to really be a game changer for everybody.
Forrest, what does this do to long-term commercial real estate values as companies start to realize that they really can operate with less real estate?
Yeah, well, basically, I'm going to retire and come work for you, Michael. I love numbers. So, and the one time that I did a couple of not forensic, but expert witness, I really had a good time. But no, my opinion is we're going to be, people love people. I don't want to be on Zoom. I want to be shaking Ivan's hand. I want to be in front of other people. Collaboration happens in physical environments. We've already done this. Michael, you remember when I think you were back at Deloitte. I'm not sure if you were there when we moved them, but we moved them from a 300,000 square feet in downtown to 100,000 square feet and put them, basically most of them, virtual. Well, it took about 6 months, and they wanted to be back again. They realized that the collaborative effect of having people together, you can't replace it. So we're really excited about getting us back into our physical meetings. But the interesting thing, there's people now here on Zoom that I think we all feel like we know now. You know, Gary and Kristen, thank you for doing the $2 trillion debt webinar a week ago. We're going to be doing that again next Thursday. We don't know what we're going to talk about because it sounds like all the money's been spent. But you know, and Deepak, I mean, we've been on 6 of these together. Gil, Jody, John. I mean, we actually know each other now. Just imagine what's going to happen when we sit in front of each other again. I mean, it's going to be dynamic. We're going to be excited. It's going to be great to have these conversations live. So I don't think anything will ever replace that. And I've been saying quite a bit, everybody's moving from suburbia into the urban cities. They're doing that because they want to be around people. They want to be in restaurants. They want to be at theater. That's not going to change. It may be quiet for a while. We may have a different way of doing things, but people want to be with people. Do you agree, Michael?
I agree.
Awesome. We may need more office space because now we all have to be 6 feet apart.
Well, Forrest, I don't know if you saw too, there was a study that was done by a Japanese university that found that people who were working at home, 35% of them reported that their mental health had deteriorated.
Wow. And that's Japanese?
It was in Japan, yeah, where they've been doing the same pretty much, work from home type of thing. And what people found was there was a loss of the lines you get between this is my work time, this is my home time, this is my workspace, this is my home space. And so there was a tension that was building in people because they felt like they could never get away from their work.
Huh. Great point, Steve.
I totally believe that study, and as a person who works 100%, because I'm in the technology business from home, this is the reason why my office is in my garage, so it is away from my living space. And the one thing that I am missing and that I do enjoy is the travel aspect that I do. I do 45,000 miles a year by air. That allows me to interact with people and get out of my garage by myself. So I totally believe that study.
Yeah. Yeah, good.
And I don't think it's cultural. In other words, it may have been done in Japan, but I don't think it's specific to Japan. I think it goes pretty much across markets.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that just empirically, people are joining Highrise. People are attending meetings. If anything, that's proving that people want this type of interaction. They want to be around peer level professionals. They don't want to, even if they are sitting in their garage, people want to be with people. And I think that's going to be the saving grace. Now, will we spend 3 hours a day on Zoom calls? Probably. But we're going to spend another 3 hours a day out, pressing the flesh with people. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just be waving and elbow bumping. I'm not sure what it's going to look like. But people want to be with people. There's no doubt about it.
I think there's another facet to all this too. I mean, people are saying, well, gee, I don't miss my commute, but then they're starting to realize now that, yeah, they do miss their commute, because that was sort of a time where at the end of the day, you sat in the car, listened to the radio, listened to music, did whatever, you kind of unpacked from your day before you got home. And the ability to kind of flip the switch very quickly and move from, you know, the work mode to the mom or dad mode, or to the partner mode, whatever, that is, it's been lost in all of this. And I think it's very important. I mean, even though, you know, I moved closer to home to where I only have to drive about 3 miles and it's all in the streets, still that 10 to 15 minutes I get from the time I leave the office kind of allows me to just unwind a little bit just in my own head.
Yeah, great, Steve. That's important. The boundaries are even more important than ever. You know, shutting down at 6 rather than going to 10 or is super important. But it also brings up another point. Deborah talks to me about this a lot. Deborah Rodney here, she's a national director for Highrise, is that she likes to have in between her one-on-ones, her interviews, a little bit of time to digest the conversation. So you also have to be careful not to pack the day too heavy. Give yourself breaks. You know, Deborah's now doing it about every 2 hours. Get up, stop, go do something different for a while, come back, do some emails, whatever it might be. That's important. So as much as, you know, you want to be on Zoom calls, you want to be doing one-on-ones, you also have to have that breathing room to take action on the things that you're talking about. Because otherwise you're done at 6 o'clock and now you've got, you know, volumes of paperwork to do or emails to send, and you're not going to get to dinner on time. You're going to be working till 8 or 10.
Hey, Forrest, I was on a call this morning, a Zoom meeting actually, with a local government entity.
Okay.
And we were talking about the effectiveness of Zoom meetings for government agencies. And he gave me for instance, that a meeting they had recently would normally be attended by 7 to 10 people. But when they switched to Zoom this week, they got 100 people viewing.
Wow. That's fantastic.
So that accessibility seems to be something that people are, at least at this point in time, making use of.
That's awesome. Good input.
I saw that with a friend of mine runs a physical therapy company down here, a rehab type company. And she has classes a couple days a week, and she'll have, you know, a handful of people show up for the classes. When she went to Zoom, all of a sudden the number of people showing up exploded.
That's great. We're going to be making some changes in Highrise, probably long term, that we always struggle in July with attendance because everybody's on vacation or running around or this or that. So we're going to move a couple of meetings a year, probably July, maybe November is another real tough month, to virtual meetings. Now, we're going to offset that with a mixer. So you'll still have a chance to have a physical meeting, but because this has worked so well, we're going to continue to go forward. In addition, we've really added a lot of new events. I mean, we're doing Fridays I guess it's a good time to do a plug since we're almost done here. Friday mornings from 9 Pacific to 10:30, we just all get together and talk about stuff. It's been great. Who would have thought, right? We're able to do more webinars. We had, you know, what, 55 to 60 people on this, and you know, likely if it was in person, there'd be 10 of us. So yeah, absolutely, there's some changes that are going to be made, and certainly for the better. So appreciate it. Well, we're running on to the 2 o'clock hour. So I appreciate everybody being here. And the focus on one-on-ones is really going to be a game changer. And how easy it now, we don't have to fight traffic. So let's get a lot of practice in. If you could do 2 a day, just think of what that would do for your business and what that would do for the people that you're talking to. So stay strong, develop those relationships, take care of yourself as well. Shut down the computer at that 6 o'clock hour, if that's your hour, and And we look forward to seeing you possibly tomorrow morning. Thanks everybody for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.